After 14 long years, Jey Uso has finally won singles gold in WWE. However, this moment was not just epic. It wasn't just awesome. We had the false finishes, the super kicks, the spear through the barricade, and the insane pop when he finally won. But this match actually has bigger implications that nobody's talking about. So I'm going to talk about 3 or 4 things that I think are big repercussions of Jey winning, but they're good repercussions actually for the most part. So let's get into it. Number 1 is that Jey Uso has officially proved Triple H wrong. And you're probably wondering, oh, well, what are you talking about? What are you talking about, bro? What are you talking about? Guess what? Jey Uso winning the championship and having this feud with Bron Breakker that ended up being epic. It was awesome, and the end result of the match and the crowd reaction was epic. This all happened in the span of 5 weeks build-up, bro, which basically destroys the narrative and the storyline mechanics where Triple H has to make every story 6 to 12 months. It doesn't need to take half a year to a year to develop a great story. Bron Breakker and Jey Uso had their first backstage segment, I think like 4 weeks ago or maybe 5 weeks ago on Raw, and it was intense. It was awesome. The delivery of the lines, the actual dialogue between those two was great. And then you follow that up with a week ago, or a week after that, I should say, Jey Uso was announced for the Intercontinental Contenders, tournament, whatever it was called. A whole lot of T's going on in there. I ain't doing all that. But he had a tournament match, and he qualified for the Fatal 4-Way match to contend for the Intercontinental Championship. He wins that match, then wins the Intercontinental Championship Contender Fatal 4-Way, which was a great match, or good match, I should say. Not great. It's not overwhelmingly, right? But it was good. And then after this, he has an amazing feud with Bron Breakker last week on Raw. And then last night, he has an amazing match with Bron Breakker on Raw, and the crowd reacts crazy to it. It's a great match and a great climax of this 4 to 5 week build-up. Them doing this and creating one of their best stories of the year, in my opinion, in just 5 weeks proves to you that you can make stories happen in 5 weeks. And the reason this is important is because this helps you showcase more talent on a bigger level. When they're in feuds with a guy like Jey Uso, who right now is the most over guy on Monday Night Raw, arguably in WWE at all at this point with the stuff he's doing with the Yeet and everything, if you have someone like that who is a veteran in the business, can help elevate other mid-carder talent like your Bronson Reeds, you know what I'm saying? He's cooking right now. Xavier Woods is on this heel arc. You can include him in this stuff as well. You have the rematch with Bron Breakker. You can have him feud with Ludwig. You can have him feud with Sheamus. That would be an awesome feud and an awesome match. Like, you could do all of this, and it won't be at the expense of dragging out things 6 to 12 months. You can just continuously be developing your mid-card and undercard by having them be in meaningful feuds and meaningful main events on Raw, which will highlight them and put them out. And this is actually part of the second reason I'm going to say, so here it is. And the second reason Jey Uso winning the IC title is massive is because Bron Breakker has been proven officially to be up next. This dude is 26 years old. He is arguably the best athlete in the company. He's like up there with the Logan Paul athleticism and other people like, your Andrades, all that stuff. He is supremely NFL level, a professional athlete level athletic. His selling is great. His moveset is developing, and he's delivering moves like the Frankenstein off the top rope. Who in the world runs up the rope like they're just walking down the street or something like that, and then it has enough time to sit down there, celebrate, lift his hands up like this for 2 seconds, and then flips Jey Uso over? It is insane. This guy's absurd. His promo work is great. He's going toe-to-toe with someone like Jey Uso on the mic, who's a veteran, a very good promo worker in his career. Bron Breakker goes toe-to-toe with him in a backstage segment and on a main Raw promo, like an actual segment in the ring, and does great in both of those. At 26 years old, he's already feuding and dueling with some of the best in the business with Jey Uso, and he's proving he can compete on that level at 26. This is insane. Bron Breakker has been officially proven he is going to be probably the biggest star of the next generation of wrestlers. With the Tiffany Strattons and the Carmelo Hayes, all this younger generation, he is going to be the number one guy. It's going to be him and probably Logan Paul, and then Carmelo Hayes, and then so on and so forth. That's what's going to most likely happen because this talent is absurd. And I think this is also huge because Bron Breakker being proven to be that good on that main stage built up a lot of fans' engagement in him and a lot of more interest in him. And he was already super over with the crowd with the roof, 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 roof. Now you have more of that. It's going to get even insane. We haven't even seen the beginning of Bron Breakker yet. He's 4 or 5 months into the main roster, and he's already one of the top talents in the WWE at 26 years old. Just wait till you see what's going to happen with this guy. I hope that he wins World Championship gold soon. I really do. Not to hate on Gunther, but Bron Breakker, in my personal opinion, is more talented than Gunther is, and that Gunther will ever be, because Gunther is just like a decade older than him. Gunther is probably going to be past his prime in about 4 or 5 years. Meanwhile, Bron Breakker is going to be probably in the midst of his prime at 4 or 5 years, and he's already this great before his full prime is even started. So because of that, I think Bron Breakker was showcased as an absolute beast, a monster in the current WWE, and if he gets the shot at a world championship, that reign is going to be awesome. It just is. He's interesting, he's engaging, he wrestles great and does great promos and great segments, and he's young and has many more years left. And with Bron Breakker being seen by all these people and being elevated in a main event spot where he shined very brightly, this also gives you another main event top of the card level talent in the making that's going to be he's going to probably be a main event level within the next year or two, man. And you just got the big catapult into that moment from this Jey Uso match with him losing. It didn't matter that he lost. The fact that he was even champion at this point in his career is insane. So now you just develop a brand new main eventer. Main event Jey Uso just breeded another main eventer and helped Bron Breakker, kind of elevate himself in the company. It's going to be insane. And the third reason this is important is because Jey Uso finally won, man, just straight up. 14 years of build-up for this moment, and this is the important thing. He is one of the most, if not the most, overact in the company right now. The Yeet. Everything about it is selling out a bunch of merch. He's making these crowds go insane when he comes out. Having a reaction like that and being interesting is the most important thing. And being able to cut a promo and put on a good match is just, he's the full package, bro. And the fact that he has that title now means that everyone who is associated with him, someone who's that over, is going to be lifted up. Like I always say, a rising tide lifts all boats, man. Jey Uso being as over as he is and as talented as he is and as big of a deal as he is, you're involving him with Rhea Ripley's, with Damian Priest, the Judgment Day, eventually probably Bronson Reed, Ilya Dragunov, whoever you want to throw in the ring with him and in this Intercontinental title feud for the future of his reign, they are going to be superiorly elevated, and they're going to get a chance to actually show their talents in the ring and on the mic and in segments and things of that nature. And this is good because it's going to help build your mid-card. We are already seeing Bronson Reed is developing as one of the top mid-carders on Raw, and he's doing great work with Braun Strowman. You also have other people that you can bring in as well. You have your Sheamuses, you have your Miz. He's got his little story with Karrion Kross, even though Karrion Kross is an absolute jobber. I don't really know why he's still talking to Miz, telling Miz what to do, but Karrion Kross hasn't won or done anything in the company. But anyways, you have that, and then you also have the simple fact that all the other future, people coming in from NXT as well. If Jey Uso holds the title that long, you can elevate someone like a Trick Williams and Ethan Page, Obafemi, who may come in, you know what I'm saying? Like, everyone is going to get elevated because Jey is the IC champion. He's going to bring more viewers to Raw, probably, and he's going to bring more viewers to his specific segments and his specific matches. And when you're highlighting the talent and, you see a talent that fights against Jey Uso and does a great job, that's going to elevate them in the public perception of wrestling fans, thus making them bigger stars. You see how a rising tide lifts all the boats? Just because one person is super over and does great matches and great work and is super over with the crowd with the Yeet stuff, that elevates everyone who you involve him with, and that could help elevate the championship. It is going to be absolutely awesome, and I can't wait to see this reign. I do hope, though, that this is not a Cody Rhodes reign, which is my fourth reason. Let's discuss it. Now, the fourth repercussion of Jey Uso winning the championship, and this is not necessarily a good one. The fact is that Cody Rhodes is someone who everyone wanted to win the WWE championship. Sami Zayn, everyone wanted him to beat Gunther. Well, not everybody, I didn't, but anyways, Sami Zayn, people wanted him to win the IC title and stop Gunther, and he did it. Both of these reigns ended up happening, and people really wanted him, it seemed, but then once they happened, now people are souring on it. Cody Rhodes, Mr. Libations, lately I drink it neatly. What do you want to talk about? Libations. Like, this dude is boring, he's annoying, he's doing meaningless feuds and meaningless matches, and he's going to win each time, so it's not engaging, it's not intriguing. That's why they have to throw him back in with the Bloodline and with Roman Reigns so he can be interesting. I don't want a situation like that happening with Jey Uso, where he's doing meaningless feuds and meaningless matches and then loses the title in a couple months, because it's a mid-card title. The IC title is a mid-card title. I can't have that happening, man. Jey Uso has grinded so hard for this, bro. If they take the belt off him in a couple months, it's like, okay, why did you have him do all this just to lose the belt? You know what I mean? Why did you have him go through all this just to win the belt and then just drop it to some mid-carder a couple months later? It's like, that's not a good look. They need to make sure that this reign is booked interesting. It's booked engaging. They tie him in with other interesting characters to help elevate the belt as well, and they actually give him meaningful matches and meaningful feuds. If they do that, it's going to be great. But the problem is that we can't just assume they're going to do that because look what happened with Cody Rhodes. His title reign, in my personal estimation, has been garbage the last 4 or 5 months that he's had the belt. They can't do that with Jey Uso because if they do, it's going to make a lot of fans upset and it's going to make us feel disappointed with the fact that we built up 14 years for this, and with this whole singles run over the last year or two, last year I should say, all of this just for a couple months of mid-storytelling, not going to be a good look. So Triple H needs to get that right. But overall, I think Jey Uso as Intercontinental Champion is awesome. It's going to help elevate the roster. It gave Bron Breakker a look at, everyone got to get a look at Bron Breakker and his awesomeness on display. Like I've been saying for months, I already know Bron Breakker is one of the biggest talents in the company. He's one of my favorite wrestlers right now. But him getting the shine in that spotlight last night was huge for his career. I know it's going to do great things. And then also we're elevating the mid-carders and the undercarders and even making the Intercontinental Championship head to the main event scene. All that and more should happen in Jey Uso's championship reign. And on top of that, though, we do have the downside that we could get a Cody Rhodes type reign or a Sami Zayn type reign where people wanted it to happen. It finally happened, and it wasn't what we thought it was going to be in terms of quality. So it's a double-edged sword. We'll see what happens. Let's just hope that Triple H does his job and actually actually acts like a good booker for once. He did a great job with the main event last night, but let's see if he can keep up that kind of quality. But let me know what you think of Jey Uso as the Intercontinental Champion. And as always, I hope you guys have a phenomenal day. Peace out. Yeet.